You were never hit, never yelled at, never obviously abused. Your parents fed you, gave you a roof over your head, sent you to school. From the outside, everything looked fine. But something was missing. Something you couldn't put into words as a child. Your parents were physically there, but emotionally absent. When you tried to share your excitement, they were distracted. When you felt scared, they were too busy. When you needed comfort, they told you to toughen up. You learned a painful lesson early. Your feelings didn't matter. And decades later, you're still carrying invisible wounds that psychology calls childhood emotional neglect. Today, I'm going to show you 7 rare traits that almost everyone who was emotionally ignored develops. And if you recognize yourself in these patterns, you're not alone. Before we start, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. And if this resonates with you, please subscribe. It helps more people find content like this. The first trait, you apologize for existing. You say sorry constantly. Sorry for asking a question. Sorry for needing help. Sorry for taking up space. Sorry for having feelings. Even when you've done nothing wrong, the word sorry slips out automatically. Here's why this happens. When you were a child and you expressed a need, you were met with annoyance, irritation, or worse, silence. Maybe you asked your mom to play with you, and she sighed heavily. Not now, I'm busy. Maybe you told your dad about your day, and he didn't look up from his phone. Maybe you cried, and they said, "Stop being so sensitive." So your developing brain made a conclusion. My needs are a burden. My presence is an inconvenience. And that belief followed you into adulthood. Now, even in relationships where people genuinely care about you, you can't shake the feeling that you're too much. You minimize your problems. You downplay your achievements. You make yourself smaller, hoping that if you need less, people won't leave. But here's what you need to understand. The problem was never you. Your needs as a child were normal, natural, necessary. It was your parents' inability to meet them that was the problem. You don't need to apologize for existing. You never did. The second trait, you're hyper-independent to the point of isolation. You do everything yourself. You don't ask for help, even when you're drowning. You pride yourself on being self-sufficient, but deep down, it's not strength. It's survival. Because when you were young, asking for help didn't work. You learned that the only person you could rely on was yourself. So now, as an adult, you carry everything alone. You fix your own problems. You handle your own emotions. You don't burden anyone with your struggles. And people admire you for it. They call you strong, independent, resilient. But what they don't see is the loneliness, the exhaustion of never letting anyone in, the deep, aching belief that if you need someone, they'll disappoint you. Psychology calls this counterdependency, the fear of needing others disguised as strength. And it's one of the most common patterns in adults who were emotionally neglected. You built walls so high that even people who want to love you can't get through. And the tragic part? You don't even realize you're doing it. You think you're protecting yourself, but really, you're recreating the loneliness you felt as a child. The third trait, you feel empty, even when your life looks successful. You check all the boxes. Good job, nice apartment, stable life. But inside, there's a hollow feeling you can't explain. It's not sadness exactly. It's more like numbness. Like you're watching your own life from a distance. You achieve things, but they don't feel meaningful. You're around people, but you don't feel connected. You go through the motions, but something essential is missing. This is called emotional numbness, and it's a direct result of childhood emotional neglect. Here's what happened. When you were young, Your emotions were ignored so consistently that you learned to ignore them too. You stopped feeling, because feeling hurt too much when no one cared. So you disconnected from yourself. And now, as an adult, you can't reconnect. You don't know what you want because you were never asked. You don't know how you feel because no one ever validated your feelings. You're successful on paper, but emotionally, you're still that child sitting alone in their room, wondering why they feel so invisible. And here's the hardest part. Even when good things happen, you can't fully enjoy them. Because deep down, you don't feel worthy of happiness. You don't feel real. If you're recognizing yourself in these traits, I want you to know something important. This isn't your fault. You adapted to survive an emotionally barren childhood. These traits made sense then, but now they're keeping you stuck. Let's continue. The fourth trait. You're extremely sensitive to rejection, even when it's not there. Someone doesn't text back immediately, and you panic. A friend cancels plans, and you assume they hate you. Your boss gives you minor feedback, and you spiral into shame. You read rejection into neutral situations because your nervous system is wired to expect it. When you were a child, your bids for attention were rejected repeatedly. You'd reach out emotionally, and your parents would turn away. Not always, not dramatically, just consistently enough that your brain learned, people leave, people don't care. So now, your adult brain is hypervigilant. It scans every interaction for signs of abandonment, and it finds them, even when they're not real. Psychologists call this rejection sensitivity, and it's exhausting. You push people away before they can leave you. You end relationships preemptively to avoid being abandoned. You interpret every slight as confirmation that you're unlovable. But here's the truth. Most of the rejection you feel is a ghost from your past, not reality in your present. The fifth trait. You have no idea who you really are. If someone asks, "What do you like?" you freeze. What do you want? You don't know. What makes you happy? You've never thought about it. You spent your entire childhood learning to read other people's emotions and ignore your own. Your parents' moods dictated the emotional climate of the house, so you became an expert at sensing what they needed. But you never learned to sense what you needed. So now, you're like a chameleon. You mirror whoever you're with. You adapt to what others want. You lose yourself in relationships because you never had a self to begin with. Psychologists call this identity diffusion, a lack of stable sense of self. And it's one of the deepest wounds of emotional neglect. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. Because you were never seen as a child, you never learned to see yourself. The sixth trait. You're drawn to emotionally unavailable people. It's not a coincidence. It's not bad luck. It's a pattern. You keep choosing partners who are distant, distracted, detached, and you keep trying to win their attention, their affection, their approval, just like you tried with your parents. Psychologists call this repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate childhood dynamics in adult relationships. Your brain is trying to rewrite the story. If you can make this emotionally unavailable person love you, it retroactively proves that you were worthy of love all along. But it doesn't work, because you're trying to fix a childhood wound with an adult relationship, and the people you choose can't give you what your parents couldn't. The only person who can heal that wound is you, by finally giving yourself the emotional attention you never received. The seventh and final trait. You feel guilty for feeling bad. Even when you're struggling, you tell yourself, "I have no right to complain. Other people have it worse. I wasn't really abused. My childhood was fine." So you minimize your pain. You invalidate your own suffering. You silence yourself, just like your parents silenced you. But here's what you need to hear. Emotional neglect is real trauma. Just because you weren't hit doesn't mean you weren't hurt. Just because your parents provided materially doesn't mean they provided emotionally. And just because your wounds are invisible doesn't mean they don't exist. You have every right to grieve what you didn't receive. You have every right to feel angry, sad, or lost. Your pain is valid, even if no one told you that as a child. I'm telling you now. If you recognized yourself in these 7 traits, know this: you are not broken. You are not too much. You are not unlovable. You are someone who survived an emotionally barren childhood by adapting in the only ways you knew how. And those adaptations worked. They kept you safe. But now, you get to choose something different. You get to learn that your feelings matter, that your needs are valid, that you deserve to be seen, heard, and valued. Healing from childhood emotional neglect is possible. It starts with recognizing the pattern. And you just did. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. And drop a comment telling me, which of these 7 traits resonated with you most? You're not alone in this, and your story matters. Thank you for being here.